Hello, welcome to Me Edson. I hope you're all well. So, a reaction to last night's boxing: Dave Allen against Makhmudov and Ennis against Lima in Philadelphia. Look, what can I say? There are real winners in boxing, and there are real losers. And I don't mean that in a bad way, negative way. I just feel in these two fights, it kind of epitomized where boxing could be in a positive way and where it is at times in a negative way. Right, so let's just talk about Boots Ennis against Lima. I said before the fight, and actually I wasn't the lone voice here, there were lots of people out there, lots of commentators out there, lots of fans of boxing who were saying this is a total mismatch. Ennis against Lima, it was, it shouldn't be happening, and it's not a fight that's being delivered. Eddie Hearn can say all he likes. He can defend it all he likes. He can, he can call everybody criticising him the hater and all that kind of stuff. Or they're jealous and all that nonsense that he comes out with, right? The fact of the matter is, Boots Ennis is just, Jaron Ennis is just levels above Lima. Levels above. Everybody knew it. Everybody could see it. If there's ever a fight where you've got commentators just not really sure what to say before the fight, they're saying, Jaron Ennis is, he's a 34-0 and, a fabulous fighter. And Lima, well, we don't know too much about Lima. Yeah. So they're not sure what to say because all of a sudden they think, well, he's a 14-1 or whatever he is. And it's just not. It just wasn't great. It wasn't a great look for me. The fans. There was a lot of American fans out there, and a lot of fans from Ennis fans and Philadelphia fans were thinking, well, this is a total mismatch as well. So, get into the fight. First round, he just launches on him. And Lima tries to go at him first of all, and he just launches at him, and he just, it was just a matter of time, and it was just a matter of time. Gets him out of there. Fight is stopped. And then you kind of think, then the commentators did the old reverse gear thing where he said, well, is this that Lima just wasn't good enough, or was it that Jaron Ennis was just too good, all this kind of stuff. And then the co-commentator, I forgot who it was, he said, no, this is Jaron Ennis being too good. He's just, and look, there's no denying that Jaron Ennis Boots Ennis is a class act, class fighter, right? And he could be the future pound for pound great, right? There's no denying it. But the point here is that this was a mismatch going in. You're stepping into this weight division. It was just wrong. It was just a wrong mismatch. So to then say, oh yeah, well this bout here really shows the quality, how good Jaron Ennis is. It doesn't. All it shows is that he, as we predicted, that he is levels above his opponent that he shouldn't have been in with. This kind of reminded me a little bit of like a 6-0 fighter or 7-0 fighter being matched cleverly with a journeyman just so that you can, get some rounds in and get a convincing win here. That's what it looked like to me. It was just a poor mismatch. And, he won, clearly won. He was levels above. Well done. Yeah, well done you. But, if you want to be the great, you want to be the ultimate great, this is the point here. You are a great already, but if you want to be, the ultimate great, then you've got to, you can only beat who's in front of you, granted. But it's all about who you're fighting at this stage in his career as well. And if you want to be that fighter who is remembered for taking on great fights, because you've already proven yourself at a certain level. So now you need to take that next step to say, well, I'm going to have proper fights here. Now, we're not talking about fights with nobodies, we're not talking about fights with boxers who are well established within your weight division, or who are, most people know you got a good chance of winning. But, you don't want somebody too close to you because, that's too much of a risk. We're not saying that. We're saying that, you need somebody who's at least competitive within your weight division, or with the weight division that you're going into. It needs to be some kind of fight. When Crawford fought Madrimov, he stepped up. That was a test for him. There was no doubt that was a test. Okay, then he went on to Canelo, but it was stylistically against Madrimov. That was a test for him. I didn't think Crawford looked too good here. So Ennis is stepping into this weight division, and it just didn't look. It was just too one-sided. And for the commentators to say that this showed how good Jaron Ennis is, well, yes, against Lima, yes, it does, but not in this weight division. You put him up against anybody else, and then we'll have a real gauge of how good he is in this weight division. And Eddie Hearn afterwards was coming out and saying, well, this, we'll have a tougher test, but he was just great, and he'll slice everybody up. And it's just a load of bollocks. You see, this is all promoter talk again. I just wasn't impressed with it. That's all. I was impressed with the performance, and let's not take anything away from Ennis himself in terms of what a fantastic fighter he is, but he shouldn't have been in the ring with Lima. That's the argument, and many people out there may agree or disagree, but he shouldn't have been in there. It's as simple as that. I've just realised how bright I am on the screen here. Oh dear, this might be a complete washout. I do look like Uncle Fester in this top here. I don't know why, but there we go. Listen, so for me, the was as a winner, Ennis, of course, the bout was a loss for me. It was just a loss. It was shouldn't have happened really for me. Now let's just talk about Dave Allen against Makhmudov, which I thought was a real winner. Now, Dave Allen lost. What about the scorecards? Was it the right decision? Well, yeah, of course it was. It was the right decision. He got outpointed, outboxed. He probably had a couple of rounds, Dave Allen, the 5th and the 9th maybe, where he was able to be successful, have success in there, and he was trying. Dave Allen was trying, and he was getting in there, and each round he was landing some body shots, and he was trying, but at the end of the day, Makhmudov was just keeping him long on the jab. What I will say about Makhmudov was that any time there was a sense of danger that Dave Allen was getting the upper hand in terms of body shots and going in and getting in close, Makhmudov would tie him up quite quickly, and it will prevent Dave Allen from doing more in there. I thought he got to put a couple of points deducted for holding, and this kind of lends itself to tying them up unnecessarily as well. So there was a lot of that. But yeah, it was an interesting bout to see where Dave Allen's at. I thought there were moments where he could have done more, and there were other moments I thought, well, Makhmudov is just too good for you. That's not to say that Makhmudov is a good fighter. You just look at the way he's walking in. He's square. He's just square on. He's just really open. He's just a very one-dimensional fighter. Yeah, he was coming in. He was jabbing a lot, keeping him at range. A lot of right hands were getting through, and he was punching in bunches with the right hand and the jab. It was jab, 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 right, jab, right cross, jab, right cross. That's what he was doing. It was successful, don't get me wrong. And then he come in with a few uppercuts as well. So from that point of view, you can't argue with a scorecard. And Dave Allen did a lot of good in there, and he showed his punch resistance, no doubt, and he still hasn't gone down. But the real winner here is in terms of, it was a good contest. He was stepping up. Everybody was kind of thinking, we were all hoping. I was saying beforehand, this could be, let's go for the British vote here. Let's vote for Dave Allen. But I think most people would acknowledge it's a tall order, right? This would be a tough ask for Dave Allen, but he goes in there and he gives a real good account of himself. He doesn't get knocked out. I thought at times he actually hurt Makhmudov as well. I thought, but Dave Allen says afterwards, yeah, he was hurt himself. It's no doubt. Look, Makhmudov is a beast. He's a heavy-handed, guy. But in terms of quality, yeah, you could say there was difference in quality. But where's Makhmudov in terms of world standings? Well, he's in there, but he's not the elite, is he? He's not right up there. And this is where Dave Allen is. And Dave Allen's got a lot to be proud of, I would say. Look at the crowd. Look at the selling tickets. the following that he's got, the personality he's got, you know, the people's champion in many ways. You know, these are the people that you kind of warm to, that you want to support, that you want to see do well, because just the way he talks, just the way he is, very matter of fact, and just you know, he's just the bloke next door that you can have a chat with, and he's just you know, he comes across that way. Now, whether he is or not in reality, who knows? I don't know. But in terms of the way he comes across, fantastic. So in terms of, yeah, he lost the fight, but he comes out a winner still for me. But where does he go next? Where does he go next? You know, he stepped up there. Yeah, he fell short, but he stepped up and he gave it a real good go. You know, unlike Ennis and Lima, where, you know, you didn't have that vibe with it, whereas this has a real vibe. What happens to Dave Allen after this? Well, he's probably got a good chance of going into another fight, another couple of fights. I hope he doesn't disappear. I hope he still gets the opportunities out there. But if he doesn't, then, you know, there's a bit of an issue, isn't there? But, you know, at what level? At what level does he come in? But a great night of boxing, Dave Allen. Great spectacle. Judges' scorecards were right for me. I don't think there's any real, you know, issues there. The only issues I would have is that Makhmudov was tying him up. He was boxing clever in many ways. He was boxing clever. Anytime there's a danger, he was tying him up and giving himself a breather. But he definitely did get hurt, and Dave Allen's got a lot to be, you know, a lot to be happy for, I would say. But that's it. You know, winners and losers in boxing. I thought Dave Allen came out a real winner again. I just hope that this loss doesn't stop his career, doesn't put the brakes on what could have been. Yeah, we know that he was talking about where could it be if he wins and everything. You know, I think we know where Dave Allen, and I think he knows where he is, but he could still have some great fights in the UK. He can fill out arenas, no doubt, and he can earn a fair bit of money as well. You know, and look, everybody's talking about the British title. Why not go for it? I think it'll give a real good fight to any British level fighter, even maybe European level. I think there's some great nights ahead for Dave Allen if he can just keep it, central and keep on the focus, and don't let this defeat get to him, because he put on a performance that he should be proud of, in my opinion. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, keep on watching. But Dave Allen, real winner. Boots Ennis, yeah, he won, but I think it was a loser bout. That's what I say. A loser bout. So if you like what I do, keep on watching, and I'll catch you again in another video coming very soon. Bye now.